More power to you. More power to you. It's
We're
what brought
live.
that monster alive.
We're live now here,
Oh, hi
pal.
guys. Oops.
Yeah, Jeff is telling a story about himself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We all need our motivation, and motivation is either intrinsic or extrinsic. It's you have to find your motivation. And if you can't find your motivation, you'll just sit on your rear end all the time.
Your unmotivated motivation. No, what am I even saying?
I wish I could put up a background when we do these live shows, because
What? I didn't make us big. That's the. Oh, there.
Okay.
That's better.
If I could put up a background every time we do this show, I'd have that picture of the horse's rear end right by my head up there.
Why?
Because I like that picture.
Oh, okay.
I even put it on a post. Bob Berg, I used to do some guest blogging for Bob. And I think, if I remember correctly, I even did it on a post that I did for him, because it was talking about the 2% rule.
Yeah.
And I started, hey, Teresa, such a sweet lady. I started posting, and I put something on there about the 2% rule and about the horses. And I think I put the picture in there, but every time I wanted to say the word, I just put the picture. I'm creative. That's what I do.
Did you tell me before that you, I don't know this about you, so sorry I'm asking, but you really do business coaching?
I do. I don't do a lot of it anymore. And one thing I've decided I will never do again is coach salespeople individually. Because I have no control over whether they actually go out and apply what I'm teaching. And so that's a disaster waiting to happen. I've learned that. And so I will coach sales managers. I'll coach entrepreneurs that are transitioning from being the magic all by themselves to now having to transfer that skill set to their salespeople and hire a sales team. I'll coach them. But I am not cheap. So.
Oh, well.
Wait a minute. It was written somewhere on a wall, wasn't it? Not, Jeff is not cheap. By golly.
No, that's interesting. And I can see you doing that, because during this whole process, you've coached me not just on the Audible, but on other stuff too.
Right.
Like a business coach. And I really appreciate that. I'm sad I don't have a skill to reciprocate with that you don't already have. But
that's a fun thing that's developed from our collaboration and our friendship. Is I'm kind of an open book on stuff anyway, as you well know from behind the scenes stuff that we talk about, and I'm glad to help you in any way I can. Sometimes we both have to talk to each other off the wall, don't we?
Yeah,
Hi, Kim.
That's true. I'm not sure. I've done a lot of books on my own. I'm not sure I'd want to do one on my own anymore, because this seemed like a easier project to have a partner, even just to tell stuff to, or because if you said you're doing something on Friday, you do it on Friday because the other person knows about it. Right. You know what I mean? Well, when I was on my own, there was no urgency because I'm on my own.
Well, I see Scott. Hi, Scott, and hi, Facebook user that I can't tell who you are. Love you. But, I'm the same way. I actually prefer the collaboration we did over writing my own individual stuff. I have one parable that's an individual parable that I'm within 2 chapters of completing, but I put everything with hours on the top, and so I had to put that off. And now I've got 2 other book projects that one I've committed to, one I'm probably going to commit to, and so I have to kind of plan that out a little bit. But it is fun to have someone to write with. And even on the one that I'm doing myself, I'm probably going to send you some stuff and let you kind of look at it. Yeah. I've got to send it to the editor first. But because what happens if I don't send it to the editor first, then it comes back all marked up, and I go, well, I thought I understood the English language. And I find myself, Kim Throckmorton said, Jeff, you are cheap. Kim, Scott's not cheap either.
Oh, so did you want to hear my story?
I do. I've been thinking about this story that you're going to tell forever.
Oh, you. Okay, so I'll bet you have a story like this, or many stories like this, because when you start doing really good with a company, you get to do, or I was going to say you get to do special things, which is true, but things happen
serendipitously. Hi, Peg. We see your
Yeah.
nose.
Right? That stuff
do.
happens. So this is one of those things. Okay. So what happened was, now I was a senior executive unit leader. I'd been in a magazine and everything.
We're talking about the Avon magazine. For those of you that are just joining us that don't know Lisa's background, this time we're talking about the Avon magazine, aren't
we? Yeah, I've been in. Oh no, never mind.
She was Miss November in Avon. No, kidding. Go ahead.
Okay, so I'm in the trailer park though. I'm living in the trailer park, right?
So it was a local magazine. I'm kidding. Go ahead.
And we just got cable in town. So this is the first time I've had cable in all those years, and we live in the outskirts of New Hampshire. So that was back, I don't know what year that was, but the first thing I saw when we turned it on was CMT, Country Music Television.
Right.
And it was a video called Mom of Constant Sorrow.
Man of Constant Sorrow.
No, this is a parody.
Mom? Oh, a parody. Okay.
Parody. So it's Mom of Constant Sorrow by Sue Fabish, and it was so hilarious. And I just always thought that was hilarious. Now, back then, I knew that if I wanted to see it after they quit playing it in the rotation, I couldn't see it again because they didn't have YouTube or anything.
True.
So I thought, I'll write her a letter. I'll write her a letter and ask her if I can buy it on VHS tape. And that's what I did. She sent me one, and you're going to appreciate this, but because I wrote her, she also got, because she was in contact with me. And at that time, anybody that was in contact with me got the Get Acquainted with Lisa Wilber variety pack, which you got that. You got that, right. So now Sue Fabish, who wrote that song that was on CMT, was so impressed by one of the articles in the magazine that she wrote a song for me.
Are you serious? Do you have it?
We sold a CD together, her and I.
Oh, wow. The Avon Lady Sings. Is that you in the picture?
No, that's her.
Okay.
But in the song is called Avon, You're So Beautiful. There is a video on YouTube about it, and I'll post in the group so everybody can see it.
Please do.
She also wrote another one. What was it? Oh, I think she wrote one for me in particular, and now I can't remember which one it was. Isn't that awful? If You Don't Have a Dream, the Avon Lady song, that's me. But in the video for Avon, You're Beautiful, they show me in one of my cars right at the beginning. So it's cool. Neat.
I can't wait to see that.
She came to one of my seminars and sang it live, and everybody went nuts in Nashville. Yeah.
That is so cool.
So, but I've been friends with her ever since. And for a while,
and you send her cards, don't you?
I send her cards.
You know what? You should send out cards, shouldn't you? Shameless plug for Cody. Hi, Alex.
Oh, there's the kid. Oh, you got kissy. Okay. So what I want to say is I found a little stash of 10 of these.
Oh, that's cool.
So we're going to randomly have Mr. West come up with a way where we randomly send these to 10 people on the team.
That'll work. We can do that.
Yeah. So however you want to do this, I'm going to leave that part to you.
All right. Is it okay if I think about it?
Yes. Yes.
Tonight might not be the best timing for me to get real detailed about anything. So
that, you know what, that's valid though. Right?
I saw Debbie. Hi, Debbie. Oh, Peg's there. Oh. Facebook user called you centerfold. Ha ha. Monica. Okay. Hey, Monica. By the way, Monica, thank you so much for the sweet comment you put on the stuff today. That was very appreciated. Appreciated? I'm making up a new language. I can write. I just can't speak.
Peg and I are headed to Salt Lake next Wednesday.
I wish I was going. Y'all are going to have a blast. Okay. I got to tell you, you were talking about the song. Two music things I'm going to tell you because that's, as we know, spurred my thing.
Oh, good.
First was you were talking about Mom of Constant Sorrow at AFLAC meetings back when I was a state sales coordinator, and actually even when I was a district sales coordinator on the first one, we would have these big West Territory sales meetings, and there's the district sales managers all the way up to the state managers, the territory director, and AFLAC corporate people would be there, and there usually be some sort of fun thing going on. And a karaoke night for money was one of them, and 600 people in the crowd. Well, one year we were given an assignment to give to do an Aflac commercial, a duck commercial. The duck was really popular at that point. And I got put in charge of it, but I didn't understand the instructions. The instructions were you were to film an Aflac commercial and do it. And we had some really creative ones. A good friend of mine, a guy named John Johnson, who's up in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. His team did one that was kind of a role reversal, and it had the ducks talking, and the person went, Aflac. It was so funny. But I got the wrong instruction. I didn't pay attention to the instructions. I'm sure I didn't misunderstand it, but I misunderstood it. And so we're at the meeting, and we do ours live. We were in Norman, Oklahoma, and I got myself and three other Aflac guys, and I wrote a parody song to Man of Constant Sorrow.
Oh.
And we were the Ducky Bottom Boys instead of the Soggy Bottom Boys. We were the Ducky Bottom Boys. And then we was, I am a man of constant sorrow. I've seen trouble all my days. And then it said, I did not take that extra insurance. What was it called? What did they say? Aflac. And so that was one. And it was received well. We won money, even though we didn't do it right. But and then later that year, the state sales coordinator in North Texas wanted us to do it live for the kickoff meeting. And we're doing it live. And in the middle of it, my guitar strap breaks. I'm playing along, just like this did. I came out of my headset here. I pretty much like it happened that night. Hang on here. Okay, you there? Could you hear me the whole time?
Yeah.
Well, my guitar strap broke, and all of a sudden the guitar's doing this, and I'm going, I can't play and hold it like this. But anyway, the second one I'm going to tell you about happened my very first coordinator leadership event. This was 1994. I'd started with Aflac in 93, got promoted in 94. And we're in Lake Tahoe. That's where the first one was. And it's karaoke night, and I had decided to write a parody to Jailhouse Rocks. And in 94, and I don't care about anybody's politics, so please don't get angry if you, please. But this was when the Clinton administration was in power, and it looked like they were going to have government-run health care.
Yeah.
And so I wrote a parody to Jailhouse Rock called The Healthcare Rock. And it was funny stuff, and it poked at Bill Clinton and it poked at Hillary, and it was received so well. I won $100 that night for most original. Wow. I've been original for a while. Hang on, let me get some more coffee.
So what is your favorite thing to do, like writing for a book or writing songs?
I like them both. I've actually written songs and sent them to record labels for publishing and all that, and never got a darn thing done. And a couple of them were really, really good. I had somebody reply back, said, we like this one, but we've got our own in-house writers. And, because if you want to get a song to go on a label, each of these labels, they've got songwriters. They're paying $20 grand a year, or at least that's the way it was back then. But then if their song gets picked, they're going to make the mechanical royalties. And the royalties are huge. Dolly Parton wrote the song, I Will Always Love You. Years ago, she had made over $20 million on that song. So the royalties are huge. And even when other people would sing it, she was making money.
Yeah.
So they had that. But I was, as you know, a huge Garth Brooks fan. And Tony Arata, Aratta, or maybe one T. Yeah. He wrote The Thunder Rolls and a couple of other Garth big ones. And I had one that was in a similar vein as that. And I had really wanted to get it published. I really... It was Jackson Hole, and Kim saying her first one was in Jackson Hole in 94. Maybe it was 95 that I did that. Whatever year we were at Lake Tahoe, Kim and I have been to the same places for a while. But anyway, I really wanted to get it published. But quite frankly, I have never had a better book writing experience than said the lady with the blue hair.
Oh,
that the story just seemed to flow, and the Unexpected Tour Guide. I loved writing that as well, but the lady with the blue hair is better. And I'm doing the audio book now for the Unexpected Tour Guide. I've already recorded everything. I'm about halfway through the editing. I hope to have it on Audible by February 1st. Not promising, but I hope. But I'm falling in love with that story again too. But what happens with me is the story starts to feel so good that it just comes in. A lot of times, literally, I'm typing with my eyes because I'm a pretty good keyboarder. We called
Yeah.
them typists back when I was a kid. So I'm just letting the dialogue go, and I'm flowing, and I'm saying, you know, what I'm feeling, that whatever I would feel in that situation, and going with it. And that's where most of that story comes from. And I think I enjoyed that even more than songwriting. But what's really weird, I have been in sales my whole life. Well, my adult life. And so, and it's funny, when I'm out selling a product, whether it was Aflac or uniform services or musical instruments, the rejection that you get in sales never bothered me. I never took it personally if they said, no, okay, next, because I understood that. I had read the book, How I Raised Myself from Failure to Success in Selling by Frank Betcher. So I went with the flow. But that was when I was selling somebody else's stuff.
Oh.
When it comes to our book or my books, when it comes to music that I write, it's a different feeling. If I get rejected there, oh my God, they just rejected one of my babies. I don't like this. It was different. And I remember once I had a children's choir song for the church that I went to in Denton years ago, that when they celebrated their 20th anniversary, I wrote a lot of the music for the anniversary, the orchestral arrangements, I wrote new material, and they were performed there. And they were all good, but there was a children's choir piece that was really kind of extra special. And I was the guy that was the choir director there, good friend of mine. He and I sat in the car with the head of children's music for the Southern Baptist Convention, or whatever their publishing arm was. And we played it for her. She says, I want that. Get it to me. And then I sent it up, and her assistant rejected it. I didn't go around the assistant. I just went home and went, I don't like that.
Oh. You know, I'm bad about that though. If I get rejected, I don't think about, I just think, well, I'm going to do this book. I just evidently am not going to do it with them. You know what I mean? Or I'm bad about that, I think.
I think part of, the part of me that really wanted us to go traditional publishing at first, I think the part of me that does that is the one that wants that validation that says, okay, I'm good enough now.
And maybe I'm too suspicious, but it just felt like everybody just wanted money from us to say that we had a publisher.
We would have still had to go out, promote the book, and be the ones to make the magic happen.
Right. So let's talk about the promoting for a second, if you don't mind. We got stuff coming up to do, and I hope when you do your new book, you'll let me help or give some ideas or something. Yeah,
you will be one of the first people. What I'll probably do before I send it out to you and some others that that I'll send stuff to, is I will probably get it to the editor first, because this one's going to be difficult, and it is difficult, and it's going to be a really powerful story too. But it's the name of it is Lessons from My Father, the Time Traveler. And it's written from three perspectives, which is what's really challenging. It's written from the perspective of the main character, the time traveler. It's written from the perspective of the main character when he travels to different points in time and sees himself as when he's younger.
Ooh.
And then it's from the perspective of the daughter of the time traveler. So I got three different perspectives to try to keep in line there.
Yep.
And I think the world of John David Mann. He is literally my favorite author. And we had lunch back in Waco. I guess it was back in June, and I was telling him the plot, and I told him the full plot, and he was very complimentary. He even got teary-eyed. So you guys think that your heartstrings got pulled in blue hair. What do you see this from?
Yeah, you're dangerous. The
emotions.
Clown whisperer. That's it.
Oh, by the way, tonight we also let's see. If they say no, just say next. Absolutely. That's the way we always did it in sales.
John Furman is in the National Speakers Association, and he's the one actually who set me straight. We were hanging around the same time I met Bob Berg at the New England chapter, and John Furman said the reason you're not getting booked enough is because you need to double your price, and he was right.
He's exactly right.
I doubled my price, I got booked. It was crazy. Yep. It wasn't. It was just crazy.
Is that your stomach growling, or is that something in the background?
No, that's Alex making pasta or something. Is that my stomach growling?
But John, you're exactly right. And it was easy for me in sales, but when it's something I create, it's just felt different. And I still applied the same lessons. It felt different.
So look at Scott, snot bubble crying. He thinks it's funny when I say that.
When you said that, when we're doing these shows and you talk about snot bubble crying, I just cackle. And it's one of those things. I've heard your story now. Once or twice, right?
I can see on your face when you know what's coming.
When I know what's coming next, I'm almost, here it comes. Y'all look out, here it comes. But I'm reminded, back when I was a state sales coordinator for Aflac, I would talk to the training schools. We'd have new training schools every month, and I would talk to the training school each day. And the last day of training school, I would tell a bit of my own personal story. Talk about growing up, and then the mobile home with the floor falling out, and then going on to build a career. And my state training coordinator, she was always, I had multiples. I had 3 different state training coordinators. One of them was my wife, actually. But the final state training coordinator, I used to get tickled at her because she could almost quote my story to me from the back. She'd be in the back of the room, and I'd see her lips moving.
The only thing is, I was on the one with George yesterday, right?
Yeah.
I said something. You said I hadn't heard that before. Do you remember what it was? Because
I don't. Look, when I go to sleep, I reboot. I lose all unsaved data.
Yeah, because I kind of like throwing something in that you haven't heard before.
You're going to have to start stretching now because I've heard a lot.
I know.
Hey,
I thought about that.
I put something in the thing tonight about rather than having a teaching lesson, I wanted to mix it up a little bit tonight. I would love to hear your favorite lines in the book and what your favorite takeaway was in the book, and you can put them in the chat section here. Lisa, I want you to tell me, Lisa, what was your favorite line in the book?
You know what mine is.
What was your favorite line in the book, Lisa?
Kai likes it when she thinks she can make a man nervous.
Yeah, and when Dalton and Kai first meet, and Dalton is stumbling over his own words, and Kai says, Kai was actually... Dalton's awkwardness actually made Kai kind of happy. She didn't want a man in her life right now, but she still liked knowing she could make one a little nervous.
That is my favorite. You knew it would be, didn't you?
I did. I didn't know it when I wrote it, but I figured it out pretty quickly after that. Next time we're cutting up with each other, did I make you nervous?
Oh, I started doing that to you right away. Yeah.
My favorite line, I've got 2, and I hope I can remember them both tonight. But one of them is when Belle is coaching Kai, when Kai comes back from that first meeting and she's talking about all the things she did wrong, and Belle coaches her, don't spend all your thoughts on what you did wrong. Spend at least 10 times that amount on what you did right. And she said, because we women are often quick to see our flaws and slow to see our beauty. That's one of my favorites. And the other one, I am completely drawing a blank. Can you help me? Because we've done these shows before.
No, but that one, when you said that one before, that was one of those times where I was thinking in my head, that's so cool that you are in touch with your emotions like no other guys. That was one of the way, because you are, was how you were able to write it that way. Don't you think that in particular, sure. That thing in particular? Sure. I didn't mean to embarrass you. Well, no. If I thought it would have, I would have.
Don't make me cry.
Yeah, don't be doing that tonight.
Don't be mean to me tonight.
Now other nights, well.
Get a day. Let's just leave it at that.
You'll get a pass, a hall pass. Yeah. There you go.
There was another one that's just really one of my most poignant things, and I can't remember what it is now. But I wrote the story. I edited it and edited the story. I sent it to the editor. It comes back. I do some more editing. I sent it to you. It's been published now. I've heard it. I've read it multiple times looking for errors. I've heard the audio files more times than I can count, edited all that. And still, when it gets to the scene in the last chapter with Kai and Lindsay and Michaela on the beach with Belle, and it's about signing the book and all that, I could listen to it now and it starts going, oh, I do. I put myself emotionally right back in the mix of it.
So you got somebody said, I love the part where Kai asked, why don't you help with the drink? Oh, asked, why don't you help with the drinks? I'll bring the wine. I have connections in that industry. That's a good line. That is.
I love that line. Who is that? Tell me who you are.
Says Facebook user. Yeah. Say who you are. I like that one too. Yay. That was cute. You got quite a few really good humor lines in there, I thought.
My favorite is I loved writing the character Alan.
Oh,
And
yeah.
Alan is partly made up from me and my character, but part of it was a good friend of mine. I had a friend of mine who passed away this last year, actually. When we recruited him in Aflac, his name was Ted Carful. I don't know if his family, because sometimes they'll be on, but Ted was 67 years old in the year 2000. Petra. Very cool, Petra. But Ted was 67 years old in the year 2000 when we recruited him, and he was my best group opener. And then later, when I got the promotion to be a regional sales coordinator, I recommended that they put Ted in my position as a district sales coordinator, which they did.
Nice.
And but he passed away this last year. I think he had to be 89 years old.
Oh, wow.
Out in West Texas. But when I wrote Alan's character, I wrote the repartee that Ted and his wife Brenda had. It was so much fun to watch. He would tell stories about they'd be going canoeing, and she said, "I'm going to tell the story like Ted." But Ted was the first one I heard tell the line when Brenda was trying to get him not to tell a story. And he said, "Wait just a minute. There are two reasons I want to tell this story. There's a lesson that needs to be taught in this story, and second, I like the way I tell it. I kind of want to hear it myself." So,
I like that one. That was good.
I about blew wine through my nose or whatever.
Well, we were talking to the girls that time. Didn't Lindsay kind of say you were Alan?
Yes, very much so. And very much of my personality is in Alan, for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, that's neat.
But Ted was telling
Janet's on from Ireland.
All right, what's Kim saying here?
My favorite that I've used forever, you can be successful in anything in life as long as enough people know what you do.
Absolutely.
I love that. My family never really knew what I did. Yeah.
My mother never understood my Aflac career, Kim. I remember I was going under financially when I started. I moved into a mobile home with my family that the floor was falling out. I didn't leave that mobile home until I was making probably $120,000 a year, something like that. My mother came to visit, and she still didn't understand what I did for a living. And she said a couple of negative comments, which unfortunately she every now and then did that. But on the day that I was taking her back to the airport, I drove her to the town square in Denton, and I showed her this building where my office was. I said, "This is where I don't work for a living." Sorry, Mom. Please forgive me for saying that. You're not here, but you might have heard it. So anyway, but yeah, I wrote a lot of myself in there. But when Ted would tell the story about him, Brenda going canoeing as one of their first dates, and he's kind of a big Texas guy, and she's kind of petite, and she's up on the front end of the canoe. He's on the back. So the canoe is doing this. And he's rowing, and she's saying, "I need to go to the restroom." He said, "There's nowhere to pull off yet. You're going to have to hold it." Keeps going, "I need to go to the restroom." "No, there's nowhere to pull off yet." She says, "Okay." Next thing he knows, the water's getting kind of warm on his end of the boat. And when he told this, Brenda's up there going, "I told you." But they would go back and forth so much, and it was so much how I wrote that relationship between Alan and Kathy was very much the relationship I saw with Ted and Brenda. It was so cool.
Oh, that's neat. Oh, I like that. That is neat.
Oh, let's see. What else we got to do tonight? We had something else planned, but I don't remember. I've had a coffee.
Yeah, that dang coffee.
Yep. My favorite coffee. Don't pick on my coffee.
Don't pick on my coffee. I like it how you like it so like it slaps you in the face coffee.
Bam, bam, bam,
yeah.
Actually, I do make my coffee very strong. When I'm getting my coffee ready for in the morning, I use an espresso strength coffee. I make it pretty strong, but then I put cream in there because that's why I like my coffee. The cream kind of kills any bad things. Peg wrote a line. "I love the line where Kai is on the final flight back to Texas and says to the flight attendant, 'You mean out of all the thousands of people you've served since a year ago, you don't remember me?'" I love it.
I like the way you could read a line though and like laugh in the middle. I'm not sure if I like that part or the fact that you thought I could do that.
Hey, you did some. After some coaching, you did some. My favorite part of that too, Peg, is right after that when Kai tells the flight attendant, she tells Wendy, said, "You may have met hundreds of people over the last year, but I've only met 4 flight attendants, and you're 2 of them."
Oh, that one was good too.
I've got humor in my bones.
I guess I was surprised when we were talking about the stand-up thing, and you were saying if you had material. Do you know it actually never dawned on me that people have their material written out? I
You
don't
know,
know
like your
why,
speech, like if you're on stage and you're doing a talk, or you know,
but I don't have
you know,
I don't have it written out. It's not good, probably. I
I,
wonder what I think that you're more structured than I am by a lot, and I think I would drive you crazy if you were coaching me as a speaker.
I won't coach you as a speaker, but we'll share a stage together. I don't mind
Yeah.
that a bit. Because see, what I actually do, I have had times scripted. I worked with the lady who actually worked with Zig Ziglar.
No,
I've got
nice.
a keynote like that.
Yeah.
But and Bob, everything Bob does is exact, and he's done it many times.
Yeah.
But I tend to rely a little bit more on structured improvisation, and I'll have certain things that I know I'm going to do, especially if they're jokes I'm going to tell at certain
Oh,
spots and all
okay.
that. But
'Cause that probably
I
sounds
believe in
more
structured improvisation to a great deal. And
that's
yes,
probably
Kim,
what that
my
is.
coffee tonight is maybe slightly more strong.
No, I
And
think
promote our merchandise.
probably our style is
Not enough.
okay, that's fine. The
Sorry.
I think our style probably is closer than I'm thinking, but
It
you're
is.
such a structured man. I figured for sure you would have a very compared to me, but yeah.
I had a good friend of mine, my best friend actually. He's been my best friend for 30 plus years now, I guess. We met in '93, so 30 years.
Hmm.
He says, "You're the best I've ever seen at thinking 5 steps down the road."
Yeah.
And because of, and in a certain extent, that's true. But I've also had people say, "What's your end game? You're thinking 5 steps down the road, aren't you?" But you know, that's not the case always. But it is a part of who I am, I guess.
No, I said that to you the other day, though. The reason I think our teamwork is working better than most is because you're pulling me in from flinging myself off a spontaneity cliff, and and I'm dragging you a little back from everything's planned and no spontaneity.
You
So
mean we can't spreadsheet this show? What are you talking about?
as if you didn't. You're just saying you didn't.
I didn't spreadsheet it. It was on a page, a Word document, a Pages document.
Oh, and that's so different.
I'm getting tickled at Kim the other after I said my coffee tonight might be a little stronger than normal. She said, "I knew it."
I knew it.
Kim, what year did we meet? I know I was speaking up there in your area. What year did we meet? I guess that was 2014, probably. And she's a hoot. I love Kim to death.
Well, I
Right.
suppose we're wrapping up already.
We are. Hey, guys, we've had a couple of people tell us, even on the show we were on this week, that the two of us really should do a podcast together. And I don't know exactly how different a podcast will be from what we're doing now, but maybe something to push out there and brand it a little bit. If you think about it, put your thoughts about the idea of a podcast in our group. Let us know what you think, would be good or bad. I mean, you guys get this anyway, so it might be something you wouldn't find any value in. And if we did a podcast, we'd have to tweak it. It couldn't just be about the book. It'd have to be about sales training in the direct sales training in other industries too. So I don't know. But I do think that we do have a good chemistry. So that's always a positive. I'm trying to do something like this.
Yeah, those guys are really complimentary on the show.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we have guests, and the two of us can really be good or bad to them. We'll see.
Oh, if they're ripe for the picking, that's not good though, right?
Jen Leonard said she met you 14 years ago. That's cool.
Nice.
All right,
Oh,
podcast
Janet,
and then the sequel. Hey, go ahead.
I went to Ireland, Janet. I met Janet in Ireland
right.
14 years ago. They sent me over there, and that was the time. I don't think that was the time. Never mind. But when I went to England the first time, there wasn't this time, I don't think. And they picked me up with a chauffeur. They sent me first class. First class over there. When I found out how much all that was, and then my hotel room had 2 bathrooms, I thought, oh my God, when they find out it's really just me, they're going to bill me for this.
Isn't that first class flight overseas awesome?
It was like $18,000 or something.
I know, but isn't it awesome? I've done some of those.
The very first time I went, they weren't restricting food like they do now, and they'd come through with the Sunday cart and all that.
Exactly.
Like
that's where I came up with that story. Was actually on an overseas flight like that.
Really? Because I had that when I went on that, but I haven't had it since. Now they're
haven't been spoiled like that in a while.
Oh, That was unbelievable. And I went by myself. That was unbelievable.
That's cool. Janet also stays up very late to watch this show. So thank you for staying up with us tonight, Janet. And I hope you have sweet dreams once you get off here. I think I may have sweet dreams.
Oh, jeez. Me and Janet have been like fast friends since we were over there. And you know what we did? We went to, Janet can correct me if I'm wrong, and I know we're running over now. Her and I and a descendant of David McConnell's wife.
The guy from
that founded Avon.
Oh, okay. I'm thinking of the guy that Mel Gibson played in that movie.
No.
Freedom!
No. David McConnell was the one that founded Avon, and he and his wife evidently traveled to Ireland, and I went and saw where they stayed.
Okay.
And her and I went on this tour with one of the descendants, is how we met. And she got to go around with me that day.
Very cool.
And we've been friends ever since.
It's really weird when we do this show. You're on my left and I'm on the right. If I look at you, it looks like I'm looking off that way. And if I look at me, it looks like I'm looking at you. So I get tired of looking at me. I've seen me before. So
yeah, we're a little crazy.
Yes, we are. Yeah. All right, everybody. Thank you so much. Hey, by the way, if you are not an Audible member yet, click on the link. If you decide you want to be an Audible member, click on the link that we put out, because if you click that link, it gives you a special thing where you can actually get, I think you get your first 2 books free or something like that. But it also gives us credit on, said the lady with the blue hair, as far as that goes too. But I have become a huge, huge Audible fan. You too, Danny.
Son. Yay.
It's a link that I put in the group. I pinned it to the top, but it's a special link that otherwise we don't necessarily get credit for them going. So, yeah. But awesome. I have fallen in love with Audible, and I was even before we put ours. I did not plan on making this an Audible book till Doug Crow coached us about that.
Yeah.
But I've been listening to Audible now for a year. I'm a huge Michael Connelly fan, and I listen to all of his stuff. So anyway, enough about that.
You said that yesterday about looking backwards, but just think if we weren't in the Success Alliance and we didn't know all these different people and they didn't have all these different skills, there's just so many little pieces of this puzzle.
There's a plan to this puzzle.
Puddle. I said puddle. I meant puzzle. Okay. What in the heck, man?
I don't know. I can't figure you out. Said the man with the gray hair. I think I'm putting it brown again.
You should.
Well, I'm thinking about it, but if I'm going to be authentic, I need to let it go gray. But I could be authentically brown if I pay for it.
I'm authentically blue.
That's true.
I'm a natural blue head.
And with that, we will end the show tonight.
Goodbye, everybody.
We love you guys. We'll see you next week.